A service dog wouldn't stop barking at a woman carrying a baby through the airport, leaving its handler embarrassed and drawing annoyed stares from travelers. But when an officer noticed the infant hadn't moved at all, everything changed. What they uncovered next left the entire terminal frozen in shock. But before we dive into today's story, drop a comment below telling us where in the world you're watching from. And if you enjoy extraordinary police dog stories like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what's coming next. The blizzard outside Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport had turned the usually well-oiled Terminal D into a scene of managed chaos. Flight cancellations scrolled endlessly across the departure boards, and stranded travelers filled every available seat. Their frustration hung in the air as tangibly as the scent of overpriced coffee and anxiety. Officer Melissa Rodriguez adjusted the collar of her uniform, still warm from a quick lunch she'd grabbed in the employee cafeteria between rounds. At her side, Luna walked silently, a German shepherd with flawless posture despite the surrounding chaos. Unlike most K-9 units trained to detect drugs or explosives, Luna had been specially trained in human behavior assessment, a rare skill that had proven invaluable in identifying threats before they even emerged. They had nearly reached the international baggage claim when Rodriguez noticed the first subtle shift in Luna's behavior. Her gait stiffened slightly, ears pricked forward like radar antennas picking up a distant signal. Tension built in Luna's body, a soft whine rising in her throat. This wasn't Luna's standard alert behavior. This was something different. Something Rodriguez had only seen once before, during the case that had defined both their careers. Luna's whine deepened. Her body went rigid with alertness. Rodriguez frowned, trying to interpret her partner's reaction. A nearby businessman with oddly bulging luggage might have seemed the obvious target of a security dog's attention. But Luna was fixated elsewhere, on a well-dressed woman in her 30s, her designer outfit immaculate despite the day's chaos, gently rocking a sleeping infant in her arms. Luna's growl escalated into a sharp series of barks that echoed through the terminal. Nearby travelers stepped away, creating a widening circle of nervous space. Phones came out. Passengers began recording the commotion. Rodriguez felt her professional poise slipping. "Luna, stand down," she ordered more firmly, embarrassment flushing her cheeks as the barking continued. But beneath the embarrassment came a growing certainty. This wasn't a false alarm. This wasn't sensory overload. This exact behavior, the barking, the fixation, Rodriguez had seen it before. Once. Across the terminal, the woman's expression shifted from confusion to alarm. She clutched the sleeping baby tighter and glanced toward the nearest exit. Luna's barking intensified. "I'm so sorry about this," Rodriguez said, approaching the woman with her most reassuring smile, gripping Luna's leash tightly. The German shepherd continued to strain forward, barking now replaced by high-pitched whines. A signal Rodriguez knew well. Something was profoundly wrong. "She's normally very well-behaved. I'm not sure what's gotten into her." The woman adjusted the baby higher on her shoulder, cradling the infant's head protectively. "It's fine," she said, though her polished voice trembled slightly. "But I need to get to my gate. We've already been delayed for hours." Rodriguez noted that, despite the woman's words, she was slowly backing away, increasing the distance between herself and Luna. The baby remained completely motionless, too still for all the noise and commotion, mentally noting it alongside the other inconsistencies. When the woman finally presented a driver's license, Rodriguez examined it carefully. An Ohio license issued 14 months ago, yet showing almost no signs of wear, odd for something supposedly carried daily. The photo matched, but something about the holographic security features didn't reflect light quite right. "Do you have Emma's birth certificate or a passport?" Rodriguez asked calmly, maintaining her professional tone while discreetly calling for backup over her radio. All minors need identification for air travel. It's in my checked luggage, Catherine replied too quickly. The airline said I didn't need to keep it with me since she's an infant. Officer Dawkins arrived, a 20-year veteran who took in the situation at a glance and caught Rodriguez's subtle signal. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with us to the security office," he said with practiced authority. Standard procedure when there are questions about documentation. The baby, Emma, if that was truly her name, still hadn't moved, just shallow breathing. No twitching, no position shifts, none of the typical movements even a sleeping infant would show. Rodriguez's concern deepened. "Is something wrong with the baby?" she asked directly, watching Catherine's reaction closely. "She's just a good sleeper," Catherine repeated, but her eyes flicked away. She had a rough night. As they walked toward the security office, Rodriguez's mind flashed back to the case that had first revealed Luna's extraordinary abilities. Luna had been found in an apartment, a 1-year-old German Shepherd mix standing guard over the body of a 1-year-old girl. The child's mother lay nearby, both victims of what appeared to be a violent home invasion. What had shocked the responding officers wasn't just the dog's protective stance over the deceased child, but her refusal to leave, even days later. When animal control finally managed to remove her, they discovered Luna had sustained wounds from trying to defend the family. Most dogs would be considered too traumatized for service work after such an event, but something in Luna's behavior during her evaluation caught the attention of the K9 training unit. Her hypervigilance around children, initially seen as a liability, was later recognized as an extraordinary sensitivity that could be trained. "I'd like to request a medical check for the baby," Rodriguez told Dawkins quietly. "She hasn't responded normally this entire time." Catherine's composure cracked. "That's ridiculous. You can't just demand to examine my child based on your dog's behavior. This is harassment." Luna's reaction to the raised voice was telling. Instead of becoming more alert to the perceived threat, as most service dogs would, she moved closer to the baby, positioning herself as if to shield the infant from the woman claiming to be her mother. "Miss Winters, we have reason for concern," Rodriguez said firmly. "The baby's lack of response to external stimuli is unusual. We're requesting a welfare check, which is within our authority when we have reasonable suspicion a minor may be in distress." The arrival of the airport's medical team interrupted the exchange as a paramedic gently examined the still unresponsive baby. Rodriguez stepped aside with Dawkins to debrief him, while Luna remained at the infant's side, now displaying textbook protective behavior rather than alert signals. The paramedic's voice brought Rodriguez back to the moment. "This child has been sedated," she reported urgently. "Respiratory depression, sluggish pupils. We need to get her to emergency care immediately." Catherine Winters, if that was her real name, lunged for the door, but Luna was faster. She stepped directly into the woman's path. No aggression, but unmistakable intent. "Miss Winters, you're being detained pending investigation," Rodriguez said formally, as Dawkins moved to restrain the increasingly agitated woman. "The infant is being taken for emergency medical evaluation, and we're going to have a lot of questions for you." Detective Harmon from the Dallas PD's Special Victims Unit arrived within the hour. His face was grim as he reviewed the preliminary reports. "Her real name is Jessica Morris," he explained, showing Rodriguez a file on his tablet. "Released 3 weeks ago from Lakewood Psychiatric Hospital after a 6-month involuntary commitment." The photo matched, though in the file Jessica looked disheveled and vacant, a stark contrast to the composed, polished woman at the airport. "What was she committed for?" Rodriguez asked, noting how Luna still hadn't left the baby's side. Severe postpartum psychosis following the death of her infant son from SIDS 6 months ago, Harmon replied. She was found trying to take a baby from a grocery store parking lot, claiming it was hers. Doctors thought she was responding to treatment, but clearly, he gestured toward the emergency room. And the baby? Sophia Mills, 8 months old, reported missing from her home in Austin yesterday. The mother is Jessica's sister, Claire Mills. She's on her way here now. Rodriguez processed the new information, the puzzle pieces falling into place with grim clarity. So Jessica took her sister's baby, sedated her to keep her quiet, and tried to flee the state? That's our working theory, Harmon confirmed. But there are still questions. Jessica doesn't drive. She had no money. Someone helped her get to Austin, take the baby, and reach DFW with fake documents. Luna's ears suddenly perked up, her focus shifting to the pediatric unit's entrance. Rodriguez had learned to trust these subtle signals. Luna had sensed something important. "What is it, girl?" she murmured, following Luna's gaze to a man in a tailored suit speaking with the charge nurse. His hospital ID badge was clearly visible. "That's Dr. Nathan Chambers," Harmon said, noticing Luna's reaction. "Jessica's psychiatrist from Lakewood. He called in when he heard she'd been detained. Says he's concerned about her mental state during questioning." But Luna's stance had changed entirely, relaxed vigilance replaced with rigid alertness. The same reaction she'd shown to Jessica earlier. Rodriguez knew the pattern well. Luna had sensed another threat. In the secure interview room, Jessica Morris looked nothing like the confident woman from the airport. Her designer outfit was rumpled, makeup streaked from crying. All pretense gone, stripped away by reality. "I just wanted him back," she whispered as Rodriguez entered, eyes downcast. "They told me he was gone. But mothers know. We always know." "You're talking about your son?" Rodriguez asked gently, taking a seat across from her. "The one who died." Jessica's gaze snapped up, suddenly fierce. "He didn't die. That's what they want everyone to believe. Nathan showed me the truth. How they take babies from mothers they deem unfit and give them to better families. My sister's baby. She looks exactly like my Charlie. That's not a coincidence." "Nathan," Rodriguez prompted. "You mean Dr. Chambers? He understands," Jessica continued, her words tumbling out. "He's seen it happen to other mothers, too. The system declares them unstable, steals their children, fakes their deaths. He helped me see that Sophia is really Charlie. They just gave him to my sister when they took him from me." Rodriguez kept a compassionate expression while mentally drawing the dark lines connecting everything. "And Dr. Chambers helped you get to Austin? Helped you take Sophia?" Jessica nodded with a childlike trust in her eyes. "He said once we were far enough away, he could prove it was Charlie with DNA tests. That we could be a family again." "Did he give you the medication for Sophia? To keep her quiet while you traveled?" "Just baby Benadryl," she said defensively. "He's a doctor. He gave me the right dose. Said it would make things easier for Charlie, for Sophia." Until she remembered me. The story was becoming horrifyingly clear. Rodriguez excused herself and quickly updated Harmon. A sudden commotion from the pediatric unit interrupted them. Shouting, equipment crashing. They rushed toward the noise to find hospital security struggling to restrain Dr. Chambers. Gaining access to Sophia's treatment room despite hospital protocols, Luna stepped between the doctor and the infant's bed. Her posture was defensive but controlled, exactly as she'd been trained. "This is outrageous," Chambers shouted, his professional mask beginning to crack. "I'm this child's doctor. I have every right to examine her." As security escorted Chambers from the room, Rodriguez noticed him slip something into his pocket. a small vial that gleamed under the hospital lights. Luna's eyes, locked on the same pocket, confirmed her suspicion. "Detective," Rodriguez said quietly to Harmon, "I believe Dr. Chambers just tried to collect a DNA sample from Sophia." The surveillance footage from Jessica's hospital room at Lakewood Psychiatric, obtained via emergency warrant, played on the large screen in the Dallas Police Department's Special Victims Unit. The timestamp read 2:14 a.m., 3 nights before Sophia's abduction. In the grainy video, Dr. Chambers sat beside Jessica's bed, speaking in low tones and showing her something on a tablet. "He's programming her," explained the FBI consultant, pausing the video. "He's using her delusions about her son to convince her that her niece is actually her child." Classic exploitation of a vulnerable subject. Claire Mills, who had been quietly providing background information while medical staff tended to Sophia, suddenly spoke up. "Jessica told me once that Nathan said he understood her pain because he'd lost a son too. A boy taken from him by the system in an unfair custody case." Rodriguez felt the puzzle pieces click into place, a pattern Luna had somehow sensed from the very beginning. "He's recreating his own trauma through these women," she realized, "using them to recover what he believes was unjustly taken from him." The storage facility on the outskirts of Dallas loomed in the fading light, rows of identical orange doors lining concrete halls. Unit 31, rented under a shell company traced back to Chambers, was secured with both a digital lock and a heavy-duty padlock. The search warrant had been rushed through, given the mounting evidence. But Luna's behavior suggested that whatever lay behind that door was worse than anyone expected. When the lock finally clicked open, Luna stepped back, standing beside Rodriguez as if seeking reassurance before facing what was inside. There were no people in the unit, no immediate threats, but what it revealed was perhaps more horrifying because of its precision. One wall was covered in photographs, newspaper clippings, and medical records, all related to infants and young children. Another held medical equipment, including sedatives identical to those found in Sophia's system. But most disturbing was what sat in the center of the room. A fully assembled nursery, crib, changing table, rocking chair, arranged as if waiting for a baby. Luna moved cautiously through the space, her training allowing her to avoid disturbing potential evidence. She stopped at a filing cabinet in the corner, using her specific signal for documents of interest. Inside, they found what appeared to be Chambers' private case files, detailed psychological profiles of dozens of women who had lost children. All were former patients from various institutions where he had worked. Each file included annotations on the subject's susceptibility to reconditioning and potential for participation in the maternal reclamation project. Luna suddenly let out a sharp bark, the alert signal she'd been trained to use when detecting hidden evidence. She stood rigid, focused on what looked like an ordinary piece of drywall. The forensics team moved in quickly. Behind the false wall, they found a concealed compartment, and what they uncovered there shifted the case from disturbing to monstrous. USB drives, filled with videos of Chambers interviewing patients, slowly reshaping their perception through calculated manipulation. Even worse were the documents detailing failed reclamation attempts, cases where women had either been caught or failed to abduct the targeted child. They also discovered detailed plans to manipulate a current patient named Elise Warner, convincing her that her recently deceased baby was still alive and being raised by a cousin in Seattle. The notes indicated this was scheduled for the following week. If Luna hadn't stopped Jessica at the airport, in the interview room, Dr. Chambers sat with the practiced calm of someone used to being the authority figure. His attorney, a sharply dressed woman from a high-powered law firm, had instructed him to remain silent, but his ego was stronger than her advice. "This is all a tremendous misunderstanding," he began. his voice carrying that same soothing tone he'd likely used with patience. Jessica Morris is a deeply disturbed individual. Sadly, her delusions have been treated as facts. Luna, lying quietly by Rodriguez's chair, raised her head, her ears tilted forward in sharp focus. "We found your storage unit, Dr. Chambers," Harmon said evenly. "And your files. Pretty detailed records for someone claiming a misunderstanding." "Research material," Chambers responded smoothly. "I'm writing a book on maternal grief and delusional reclamation. These women's stories are powerful examples of how the mind creates alternate realities to cope with loss." Luna suddenly stood, positioning herself directly across from Chambers. Her amber eyes locked onto his with unsettling intensity. It wasn't aggressive. It was something else, recognition. "Your dog seems poorly socialized," Chambers commented, and for a moment, genuine unease flickered across his face. "Luna isn't military," Rodriguez corrected. "She's a survivor, found at a crime scene where a mother and her baby were murdered. What's interesting is how she developed the ability to detect when children are in danger, especially from adults pretending to be someone they're not." "What happened to your son, Dr. Chambers?" Rodriguez asked softly, following Luna's lead. "Court records show you lost custody 5 years ago, but there's no record of him after that." The shift in his demeanor was immediate and chilling. Chambers' composed facade cracked, revealing a flash of raw fury before he regained control. "I don't think so," Rodriguez replied calmly, "because while we've been having this conversation, search teams have been executing warrants at your residence and office. I'm particularly interested in what they might find in the locked room in your basement, the one with the reinforced door." It was a calculated guess based on Luna's reaction, but the expression on Chambers' face confirmed that she had hit the mark. The facade collapsed entirely, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. "You have no idea what you're interfering with," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "These women, I'm helping them reclaim what was taken. The system destroys families, declares mothers unfit, tears children from their natural bonds. My work restores the natural order." "Where is your son, Dr. Chambers?" she asked quietly. The smile that spread across his face contained no warmth. "Safe, beyond the reach of a system that separates families based on arbitrary standards of fitness." Each of these women, their rehearsals, preparations, learning from their failures to ensure my success. Just then, Rodriguez's phone buzzed with a message from the team at Chambers' residence. "Hidden room located in basement. Evidence of recent child care. No child present, but signs suggest it was occupied in the past 48 hours." The search for Dr. Chambers' son expanded across 3 states over the next 72 hours. Luna worked tirelessly alongside specialized search teams, her unique abilities proving invaluable as they narrowed their focus to a remote cabin in the East Texas piney woods. The operation unfolded with practiced precision. Within 20 minutes, tactical teams had secured the cabin and its occupant, a young woman named Andrea Wesley, a nursing student hired through a private agency to care for Dr. Mitchell's son while he was traveling for work. The boy, found peacefully sleeping in a carefully decorated bedroom, appeared healthy and well cared for. Now awake, he watched the officers with solemn eyes that seemed too old for his 5 years. "Hello," Rodriguez said gently, kneeling to his eye level while Luna sat patiently beside her. "My name is Melissa, and this is Luna." The child's focus immediately shifted to the dog, and something softened in his guarded expression. "She's pretty," he said quietly. "Is she nice?" "Very nice," Rodriguez assured him. "Would you like to pet her? She's especially trained to help children feel safe." Luna moved forward with gentle precision, lowering her head to make herself less intimidating. The boy hesitantly reached out, then with more confidence when Luna responded with a soft whine of encouragement. "What's your name?" Rodriguez asked as the child stroked Luna's fur. "Ethan," he replied, "but sometimes Dad calls me Andrew for safety." "Is my dad in trouble?" the boy asked cautiously. "Sometimes grown-ups don't tell the truth." "That's true," she said gently, "but we're going to find out exactly what happened and make sure you're with people who will take very good care of you." The subsequent investigation revealed the devastating truth. Ethan's mother hadn't abandoned him at all. Christina Chambers had been fighting desperately to regain custody of her son for over 3 years, hindered by falsified psychological evaluations and manipulated court records, all orchestrated by her ex-husband, who used his professional credentials to systematically discredit her. The reunion, when it finally happened under careful supervision at the Children's Advocacy Center, broke and mended Rodriguez's heart simultaneously. Christina fell to her knees when she saw Ethan, tears streaming down her face as she held out trembling arms. The boy hesitated, years of conditioning from his father evident in his uncertainty. Luna, still by Ethan's side, gently nudged him forward, a subtle encouragement that seemed to give him the confidence he needed. He took one step, then another, before finally running into his mother's embrace. "My baby," Christina sobbed, holding him as if she might never let go. "My beautiful boy." As they watched Christina and Ethan begin the delicate process of rebuilding their relationship, Rodriguez reflected on the chain of events that had led to this moment. What had started with Luna's unexpected barking at an airport had uncovered a scheme of manipulation and exploitation spanning years, all because a traumatized dog had developed an extraordinary ability to sense when parent-child relationships weren't what they appeared to be. "Your partner is something special," Harmon observed, nodding toward Luna, who had settled into a watchful position near Ethan and his mother. "Most dogs are trained to find specific threats, drugs, explosives, suspects. But Luna finds the truth. That's what trauma did for her," Rodriguez replied thoughtfully. "When she couldn't save that little girl 3 years ago, something fundamental changed in how she perceives the world. She's constantly looking for children in danger, constantly assessing the authenticity of the adults around them. A blessing from a tragedy," Harmon mused. Later that evening, as Rodriguez completed her final report on the case, Luna dozed beside her desk, occasionally twitching in her sleep. The department had been buzzing all day with news of their success, with the chief personally stopping by to commend them on their work. "Good girl," she whispered as Luna's eyes opened briefly, meeting hers with that familiar intelligent gaze before drifting closed again. "You did good." Outside, the Texas night had settled over the city, stars emerging in the darkening sky. Tomorrow would bring new cases, new challenges. But for tonight, they had earned their rest. Because sometimes, Rodriguez reflected, watching her partner sleep, the deepest wounds create the most remarkable healing. Not just for those who are rescued, but for the rescuers themselves. Have you ever wondered if animals can sense things that humans miss? The remarkable story of Luna and Officer Rodriguez reminds us that sometimes our four-legged companions perceive truths that remain invisible to us. Their extraordinary bond, forged through shared trauma and mutual healing, demonstrates how the deepest wounds can sometimes create the most remarkable abilities. What do you think gives service dogs like Luna their seemingly supernatural intuition? Is it their enhanced senses, their emotional intelligence, or something more profound that science hasn't yet explained? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If Luna's story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another incredible tale of K9 heroism. Our channel is dedicated to sharing these remarkable stories that highlight the extraordinary abilities of service dogs and the brave officers who work alongside them. Check out our previous videos appearing on your screen now. From military K9s who saved an entire platoon to therapy dogs who helped traumatized children find their voices again. Each story reminds us that the bond between handlers and their K9 partners often transcends training, becoming something truly extraordinary.